Hey guys, so today I thought I would do the Hunger Games tag, and there are a few different tags going around YouTube with different questions. This one is the one that Joey Graceffa and Alexander Carpenter did on both of their channels. So without further ado, question number 1 is, what is your favorite book in the Hunger Games trilogy? I'd have to go with the Hunger Games, the first book, just because I feel like that book just caught me so tight in its grips, and I couldn't put that one down, and I read it in a day, and I feel like the other books just didn't quite get me that caught in the story. So for that reason, I just have to go with the Hunger Games. Question number 2. How long would you last in the Hunger Games? Me, right now, would not last very long at all. I would probably be one of the first to die. But if I grew up in one of the districts, I wouldn't be as privileged as I am now, that I could do nothing all day, which is kind of what I do now. I've always been an outdoorsy type of girl, and when I got into high school and college, I just kind of stopped being an outdoorsy girl, and I feel like I would always be an outdoorsy girl if I was in the world of Panem. Question 3. What is the strangest thing you thought was going to happen in the books? The strangest thing I thought was going to happen, which isn't really that strange, is I was convinced that both Peeta and Gale were going to die. I don't know why, but I just thought that both of them were just going to die and Katniss was going to be left with neither of them. But other than that, I didn't really think anything strange. Okay, question number 4. How were you introduced to the Hunger Games? Okay, I will admit, I didn't know what the Hunger Games was until I saw the first teaser trailer for the movie. I just hadn't seen anything about it. Normally, I'm very interested in new books and stuff, especially this kind of genre of book, but I had a lot going on in my life for the past year, and I really hadn't read any books for a year until I read the Hunger Games. So that's how I got introduced to the series, was just through the movie. Question number 5. Favorite moment that happens in the Hunger Games? Okay. This is a tough one. I think my favorite moment would have to be when Katniss is telling Peeta about how she got Prim her goat. Just because you don't really get a whole lot about the sisters in Hunger Games. You learn more about their relationship in the other books. It just shows like how much Katniss loves Prim and their relationship, and how important Prim is to Katniss, that she wants her to be happy and have a special thing for her birthday. And I just love that scene. Hello, my cat. Question number 6. Who is your favorite character? You know, I really love Katniss as a character, even though she has flaws, which actually is probably why I love Katniss. It's because she has flaws and she's not a perfect human being. But my favorite non-main character would probably be Joanna. I just like her a lot. I think she's really funny. Like, even the humor she has where she's talking about how her and Peeta were in cells next to each other, so they got to know their screams really well. And I just think she's like a really awesome character. I really like her character. Question number 7. What district would you live in? On the Capital PN website, I got District 5. And on the map of Panem, the swirly one that people put a lot of work into that I don't necessarily agree with, I was in District 6 via where I live now, but if I was basing it off of where my family would have gone, like, because I'm guessing at some point they sent all the coal miners to 12, all the fishermen to 4 and stuff, and since my family have been farmers for generations, I would guess that we would be District 10, which is the livestock, or District 11, where Rue is from, but more livestock because they were pig farmers, like raising pigs. So I think my family would be from District 10. Question number 8. What moment was the most emotional moment in all the books for you? Hi, cat. Okay, I'm just gonna pick a moment from all the books, just because so much emotion. The most emotional moment for me in the Hunger Games book was Katniss singing to Rue and placing the flowers around Rue. That was the most emotional part for me in the Hunger Games. The most emotional part in Catching Fire would be the very end when Gale says there is no District 12. Just because it cuts off there and you don't know what happens, even though I read it after all the books came out, so I could go straight to Mockingjay. It just cuts off there and you don't know what happened to her family, her friends, and everyone in District 12, and that was pretty emotional. I don't think Catching Fire was too emotional for me, so that would be the most emotional part in Catching Fire. And the most emotional part in Mockingjay would have to be Prim. Prim was the first time I cried while reading anything in the Hunger Games series. Pause in the Hunger Games, the first book, made me want to cry, but I didn't physically cry. Prim in Mockingjay made me cry. So that would be the most emotional part in Mockingjay, and maybe, since it did make me cry, the most emotional part in all the books. Question number 9. What item from your house would you take to the arena with you? I'll take it off. I would take this with me. It's a ring I inherited when my grandpa died, and it means a lot to me, and my grandpa was a really strong man, like physically and emotionally, and tough and brave, so taking this with me would, I think, take a part of him with me that could keep me motivated in the games and possibly keep me alive. So this would be my token. Number 10. What is the most evil plan that someone made in the books? I think the most evil thing in the books is the Hunger Games themselves. As a part of that, when they voted on whether or not to make a new Hunger Games with the capital citizens, with their children, and Katniss said yes for Prim, I thought that was one of the most evil moments in the books. Just how the games and this experience changed Katniss, whereas the whole time she was like, the games are evil, they should be stopped, this shouldn't be happening, to wanting another games for revenge. It's not necessarily a plot, but that change in her, I think, is the most evil thing that came from the Hunger Games. And as a part of that, the plan that got Prim killed, because it kind of led to that, would probably be the most evil plan in the series. Number 11. What are you looking forward to the most in the film? What I'm looking forward to the most is probably really seeing Josh and see how he handles certain aspects of Peeta. Just because, you get a pretty good sense of Jennifer as Katniss, and even looking forward to seeing how Gale works in the movies. But like I was saying, you get to really kind of know who Katniss is before you even see the movie, just from the clips that have been out and the trailers, but you don't really get to know Peeta. So seeing how it is translated in the movie is really what I'm looking forward to. Also just seeing how they stay true to the book, because it's serious stuff. It's not particularly gruesome in the books, but I really don't want it to be dumbed down a lot. How they handle the death of the kids and what that entails. I'm looking forward to seeing how they work that. Bonus question number 12. Who is your favorite villain in the Hunger Games trilogy? Snow is just so evil. I don't know how, but he's so evil, but I don't know if he's my favorite villain. My favorite villain would probably actually be Cato. How twisted his mind is, being raised in his district and it being an honor to be in the Hunger Games, and just that raw urge to kill in him that I think makes him my favorite villain. And that is all the questions, but I did, while I was talking about Cato, think of the Mutts in Hunger Games, and it's not an evil plan, but within the games themselves, all the stuff that the game makers came up with, I think those are the most evil thing they put in the games. The imitations of the wolves that wore the tributes, and you never really know, it's never really said whether those are their eyes and their brains in the wolves. And just the thought that those could be their eyes and their brains walking in there is the most evil thing, I think, that the game makers did in the games. Not the most evil thing in the series, but in the games themselves, I think those mutations are the most evil things. That was to add on to number 10. So, yeah, that's all the questions that there are for this Hunger Games tag. And I think that's all I have to talk about. So I'll see you guys later. Bye!